people yelling, fuck the system. Well, I already did that like an old flame. I was sent to Earth with a mission. But first I gotta work through all the old pain, work through all the traumas that affected. My mind, body, spirit is connected. I'm tryna feel good, it's time to heal good. I'm tryna feel good, it's time to heal good. I'm tryna heal.
Hi, I'm Mackenta.
And I'm Tabisha, and this is Heal Good, a space where we discuss how to take healing into your own hands.
We're committed to sharing tools, tips, stories that will help support you on your journey of healing.
Because we know if you want to feel good, you gotta heal good.
Period. Today, we're going to share with you 3 questions to ask yourself so that you can begin to ignite your inner power through movement. So what is movement? When we talk about movement, we're referring to anything that's physical activity and moving your body. You might be like, oh, that's exercise, which it is exercise, but sometimes calling it exercise can feel a little bit limiting or add this extra pressure that it has to look a certain way that can actually just stop you from getting started.
Movement can and should feel good. It can sometimes be challenging, but it shouldn't feel so challenging that it's a form of self-punishment. It's important to start with what feels good to you.
Did you know that physical activity actually protects the brain and improves your mood? It can reduce inflammation and lower your stress hormones. We are souls in these vessels called our bodies, living a human experience. So taking care of our vessels is something that also helps take care of our soul. It's all connected.
But sometimes it's our own mental blocks that get in the way. By reflecting on these questions, we can get closer to improving our self-awareness and reaping the rewards of movement. Let's ask ourselves, damn it.
It's time to ask the questions that matter. What limiting beliefs do I have about my body?
What limiting beliefs do you have about your body?
Well, make yourself comfortable. Honestly, I think that my limiting beliefs started really early on because I went through puberty super early. Just being so young and having to understand like what changes are going on in my body and feeling like, oh, I'm the only one this is happening to, and you know, starting to get breasts at a young age or grow hair under your arms and just stuff like that. I feel like the adults in my life really wanted to like protect me from, you know, looking older, maybe like just predators, like in them wanting to protect me. I kind of internalized it as being like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like my body is wrong. You know, I couldn't wear like certain clothes that other kids could wear, like just a tank top. Like I would be told to change, but like other girls were wearing tank tops. So it just kind of made me feel like I just have to hide my body and just not be seen. On top of that, I was super girly, so I wasn't really even like into sports or anything. And to this day, I'm very clumsy, a little bit like uncoordinated. So I feel like all of those together just made me like freeze up in gym class. Like I'd be picked last if I didn't have friends who were like, "It's okay, girl, you can be on my team. Come play dodgeball." So I just feel like for so long I was just like, I'm not athletic. I'm not good at moving my body. I shouldn't look this way, or, you know, so I just kind of like really didn't put myself out there when it came to sports. And it wasn't until I was like 18 that I started working at a gym part-time, and my brother was a personal trainer there, so he got me the job. And one of the requirements of the job was you had to like learn you had to teach people how to use these certain machines. And I didn't even know how to use the machines. But after like being trained on that and having like the free membership at the gym, it was like the first time in my life where I started feeling like, oh, I actually like know what I'm doing in here. Whereas a gym setting, like you would never catch me in there feeling comfortable at least. And it was like probably like a year later of like working there, and where like fitness actually became a part of my life, and I was like trying the classes, and I actually started feeling like in shape, like muscles feeling toned, and people would start coming up to me and being like, "Hey, are you a trainer here?" To me was like a crazy shift in that limiting belief that like, whoa, I can be athletic. And I think it was also that it wasn't even like to get in shape at the time. It was really to like push my mental blocks. So I would be like, oh, I can only run for like 5 minutes. Then the next day I'd be like, let me try for 6. And it really started like showing me like, oh, I am not what I thought I was. Like it was such a shift where I started being confident in my body. And that was like the first time in my life that I was like feeling confident in my body, like just feeling like how I should feel, you know? So I think that was like my biggest limiting belief, that like I'm not athletic, I can't do sports, I can't work out.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes I still get back there where I'm like not in a flow to like want to move my body. But now I know like from that shift that that's actually just a lie that's kind of like been drilled in my brain, and I kind of put it there.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you?
My limiting beliefs? Ooh. Some people would look at me and just assume, oh, well, you dance, so you're fit. And it's like, the reason why I started picking up different types of movement is because, yeah, I felt like my body was starting to wear down a little bit, and it was looking for different forms to like stay healthy. So I had to get into some like resistance training and get into some yoga and being okay with just like being still too. Even also working at a gym at one point, because we worked at the gym together, but I just didn't know that I could actually do certain movements like with my body, like pull-ups and stuff like that. That was a huge limiting belief that I had, that I wouldn't be able to be as strong as I knew that I could be, and just naturally being small, that I didn't have to do any kind of extra physical activity. Am I doing what's best for my body, or am I comparing myself? Listen, I've done a lot of comparison for sure. I started comparing myself, being like, okay, well, I don't want to be this small anymore. I want to get a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna start taking some amphetamine. I did it once, but I started taking like weight gain syrup. I just felt like at the time I was just like in heavy comparison and really was just trying to gain weight, because I also knew I was at a point in my life where I was underweight. So I was just trying to do anything as quick as I can to kind of get that weight back. And being in an environment where, when I'm working in like a retail environment, people are always telling me that I'm so small. I was feeling like it was really starting to get to me. So I was naturally constantly comparing like my body, and felt like people were doing the same to me. So it just kind of became like a reflex. Like I like couldn't help that. And in turn would do certain things to kind of help me gain the weight quicker. But that always wasn't really the best choice for me. You know, there were other decisions, other things that I could have been doing that would help with that comparison. But
I think a lot of people, like, we know about fat shaming, which is such a bad thing, but I think body shaming in general, like, I know, like, a lot of people would just say to you, like, oh, you're small, and feel no way about making comments about your body that they wouldn't make to someone who's bigger. But it doesn't matter what your size are. It's like, we really have to be mindful about how we critique or just comment on other people's bodies. Because sometimes it's like you think you're giving a compliment, but you don't know that is that person's insecurity.
When people would tell me, there's a part of me that's like, but I want what you have. And then that goes back to the comparison, because it's always going to be like that. But it really comes down to just you being okay with like who you are, like in like the vessel that you have. And because you're always going to have that feeling, but that's why it's so important to just love on yourself as much as you can in whatever kind of space you're in. And I had to just like change my whole like narrative to me, because I knew if I wasn't doing that, it just wasn't good, and it would just kind of sink me like into a deeper hole. Like I literally noticed at one point, like every time I obsessed about like how small I was, the smaller I would get. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm gonna just like chill out, try to find different ways to just like be healthy.
If you want to gain weight or if you want to lose weight, making sure you're doing what's best for your body, not gaining weight or losing weight to be like someone else's body, finding the healthy weight for your body. Because I feel like it's such a contrast between us, and helped us see different perspectives. Because like I've always kind of been the opposite, where I've struggled with my weight, even though some people would be like, oh, you're not fat, or like, you know, you're small too, you know, but my weight has always fluctuated. And so just seeing like I would be like trying to lose weight and you'd be trying to gain weight, and it's like we're always in those like battles. Like, and it helps us just really understand that, like, you know, there's always someone who wants what you have. I mean, you may always want what someone else has, but it's, are you doing what's best for you? And I think like being that I went through puberty so early, I've always been like hyper aware of my body. And I know not even just me, like I know a lot of like friends that I've had, like I've been like, when's the first like diet that you've been on? And they've been like, oh, grade 3, which is like startling because like with the media and everything, it's like, it's very hard not to just have some sort of body dysmorphia when you're comparing to this, or celebrities who have trainers and meal plans and all of this stuff. And you know, it kind of sets this really unrealistic expectation. Whereas like, I remember being younger and it was like being like this skinny model body was like really in, and then all of a sudden asses are in, and now it's like you gotta have the biggest ass ever, and it's like you don't have to though. Like every body type is beautiful in its own way. It's about doing what's healthy, not just strictly what looks good, because that weight might be healthy for that person, but that doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And then you also can start like doing different movements that maybe you don't even really work for you. Like for me, I've always wanted to be a dancer, and I'm like a little bit uncoordinated. So like I have fun dancing, but I'm never gonna be a competitive dancer. And then I would feel like a failure because a lot of my friends did dance, and it's like, oh, I can't do it like that. Meanwhile, there's like the camera shut off on us, but we are back now, back in a better. But you won't catch me just like.
I don't think the listeners can see that, but
Yeah, I just did a little dancing. It's embarrassing, and it's better that nobody saw that. But yeah, it's just like there's so much in the media. There's so much telling you you gotta be this way or you gotta be this way. But I think it's just like setting yourself free and finding what works best for you and what you enjoy. Because if you want to make something sustainable in your life, you kind of have to like it, which brings us to our third question to ask yourself: am I committed to creating healthy lifestyle choices, or do I just want a quick fix?
Now, I know I already brought up this syrup, but the weight gain syrups, I mean, that was definitely a quick fix. And I had to realize the changes that I'm making, I want them to be sustainable. I want them to last. So I really needed to get serious about how I'm showing up when it comes to the things that I put inside my body, just my overall regimen. It wasn't even just about food. It was about my entire well-being, because for my health journey, that's what it comes down to, is like, how am I holistically doing? How is my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health? So looking at those aspects and asking myself those questions definitely helped me become more committed, because I know for a long while just trying to like gain, there's different things that I was like doing. I stopped making it about wanting to gain and just wanting to be healthier, and that really started swerving me away from the quick fixes.
Yeah, I've gone through so many moments where I want a quick fix, and I still battle with this. Like, this is something that's actually still ongoing, because for me, like, I have gained a lot of weight in the past like few years, and a lot of it is related to like hormones, which I think we could do we'll do an episode about hormones, because I have a lot to say about that. But I've like my hormones, I've had an imbalance that has caused me to like gain weight and struggle to lose weight. And it's not that I want to like, you know, I had to stop making it about losing a certain amount of pounds and just getting back to like what feels good for my body, because I was doing a lot of like crash diets, which I still get tempted to do, and I really have to like recommit to like changing my lifestyle, to not just like go crazy and exercise till I can't stand. I would do those things where I'd be like, my muscle, I wouldn't even be able to walk the next day. And it's like, I didn't enjoy that. I was literally torturing myself to try to get to the result that I want. Or like I did keto for a bit, which works. And I think keto can be done in a healthy way, and it helps a lot of people. But for me, I had previously been eating mostly plant-based, and I ended up like eating on keto, like eating a lot of meat, and it just put a shock. The whole thing just shocked my body. I started breaking out on my arms, on my chest, and even though I ended up losing a lot of weight in a short period of time, I gained it back right after when I realized it wasn't sustainable. And I then had to deal with like these body imbalances that I was feeling. And I also like I would go through points where I didn't have a lot of energy, and I wouldn't be able to like maintain my movement that I enjoyed because I would just be feeling like nauseous and dizzy. And of course, like, I'm not saying don't do keto. It's just like you have to make sure you're doing it in the right way that works for you if that's what you're choosing to do. But for me, it's like the one thing that I think I've switched is I decided to do a 90-day challenge, but not do anything crazy, just implement walking every day. And that has been such a great change because now it's a habit. It started as a challenge and now it's just a habit where, you know, we're cooped up inside all day sometimes. So being able to like go on a walk has just been not only healthy for like, I know that I'm burning extra calories in the day, but also it's like a way where I like feel my mind is clear and I come back and I feel all around better. And then sometimes it's like I don't eat when I should, or I'll eat too much. It's like I feel like it also regulates like my eating patterns, and it's just really all connected. I know when I'm in a good cycle of habits where I want to eat my meals and I want to eat like whole foods, really good foods. I want to move my body. The other thing is not like overdoing it for me, because I know sometimes I'll just go too extreme, and it's like listening to my body when I need to rest and not move for a day, or just saying today it's about just taking a walk, or today I'm just gonna dance to some music, not put like such pressure. Because the one thing that also I've experienced is like my cortisol and my stress hormones rising, because yes, I'm doing the movement, but I'm doing it, but it's stressing me out. And it needs to be a balance of like, you know, do the movement, move your body, get moving, and feel good. And I think a lot of like what we talk about when we talk about healing is like reprogramming from a lot of things that we're told in society of like things have to be a certain way, or
they have to look a certain way.
They have to look a certain way, or if you're not working hard, then you're gonna fail in life. Like sometimes we need to create some ease and balance for ourselves between just being at extremes, because for a lot of people that doesn't work, and then they end up doing no movement at all.
And I feel like, yeah, I definitely went through that. Like my stress hormones, like there's sometimes I go through periods where I'm like, I can't move my body too much, I'm gonna lose too much weight, and be like freaking out about that. I need just to find like, just regain like my balance, like holistically, not even look healthy. It's all about feeling healthy and just doing what's best for you.
And that pretty much sums it up when talking about movement. If you are like in a slump where you feel like it's been hard to get out and do physical activity, just start small. Don't feel like you have to go run a marathon tomorrow. Do what works best for you, and also be mindful of like what injuries you have, or whatever things that you want to focus on. Even us saying our journeys, that might not resonate with you, and that's okay too. It's about figuring out what works best for you on your body and honoring that. At the end of every episode, we're going to give everyone, including ourselves, the opportunity to just slow down, take a minute, and breathe.
So take a deep breath in. Imagine loving energy radiating through your whole body. Hold.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you resonated with some of the things we said, or enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe.
Please let us know in the comments what you'd like to see more of, and we'll be here every Wednesday helping you and ourselves feel good.
Bye for now. I don't know. I always have to say something cheesy.